Hello, Internet. How's it going? For those of you out there who, welcome to another episode of the Jongravesshow. For those of you out there who do like the 7 deadly sins, same as I do, this is one of those episodes in which that you look at and it's like it seems as though they are really trying to build up these sins again, which is actually a very good thing, because most of this episode we do necessarily follow the gigantic armor and this dude with green hair who's named Aaron. And it's actually, and once you meet these two, it is actually kind of odd because looking at Aaron, he's a guy who pretty much really doesn't understand emotion. Essentially, he seems as more or less like someone who's struggling to try and understand people, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of plays off his character as somewhat being sort of robotic. And cutting from that, you do and the gigantic robot who's with him, the way how he talks and the way how he speaks, which that by this point a lot of people do necessarily believe that this is Galther, the goat of lust, essentially. But it's not. He's essentially, I believe it's an automaton that's in his armor, something like that, because they say like that that there are a lot of these things and that they have like immense power and so on and so forth. And the sins necessarily, like the three that we know now who are off hunting, they kind of go off and they kind of run into him. And they run into all these holy knights who are essentially out there trying to go ahead and take him out. Also, a quick side note, with them talking about Delia, and when they gave me the back, when they showed Delia and her little brother and stuff like that, when they showed like their story and kind of talked about like what in the world that they had to go through and stuff like that. Talking about them like that, it actually made me care about her character. It actually made me care about like what she was going through, what her brother was going through. It pretty much gave them a side to the story to make me care way more about their characters, and also it did it in a humble way in which that I can fully understand how pretty much just how this misinformation of the sins over here trying to take over the kingdom could really necessarily turn them into as great enemies as they already are. So there is that, especially since they're like, when we first saw Delia, she was kind of on the same footing as most of the other villains before, the ones over there who just show up, say their name, and then get beat up. But it's good that they're actually giving her and Jericho some type of long-lasting character. Even giving, I forget old boy's name, the muscle dude who was with Elizabeth's sister, that he actually comes back for this episode wearing a mask and saying that they can destroy Galther if they necessarily, join up or whatever. And for the most part, they do necessarily hold off the sins. Pretty much they are trying to give these three way more, how can I put it? They're trying to give them way more limitations, or at least they're trying to find fault in their combat. And for the most part, it's actually working for right now, because they are running up against way more competent members of the Holy Knights who may not necessarily beat them in a one-on-one battle, but they are utilizing teamwork, which is something that these three people who really haven't fought together in 10 years kind of just thrust back into this thing, and they don't necessarily practice with one another. It's kind of they do. But as they're about to destroy the automaton, the actual Aaron comes out of nowhere, grabs the arrow, and proves that he is Galther, which he kind of shows off an ability in which that apparently the other sins never knew he had. I doubt that they've actually even seen his actual face. I believe that because it seems as though it's like the only real connection that they had with him was his armor, which is the only real thing. But now it's like Galther can change his appearance because he actually has pink hair and a very feminine face. And that's how this episode ends. Really, this is one of those episodes in which that you look at it and it's like they are really doing their job to really drive home that yes, the Saiyans are powerful, but they really need their weapons. All the other members they have things in their possession that not necessarily every single one of them knew, such as Gowther's abilities, or necessarily like, you know, or better yet, even if he still has his weapons, or better yet, how powerful is he if he can just catch like a fully charged super arrow, like pretty much in point blank range. So that is something. So that is what I have to say about that. What do you guys think about this episode? Please tell me down in the comment section. I'll catch you guys on the next Jongravesshow. So please keep watching anime and keep playing video games. I'm out.